I played, piano. I played piano and then guitar and clarinet.
Okay.
So I was in like a lot of the school bands and still kind of dabble in like piano guitar, but it's more of like a just whenever I feel, although I haven't in a while.
I don't think I have a musical bone in my body. I've got nothing. We had to take music classes in film school and like, it would be one of those things where I like there's a moment sometimes you have to recognize that like other people are hearing something or experiencing something that you're not, right? And this is one of those moments where like, the teacher has a piano and he's like, yes, so, this is a major chord and this is a minor chord. And you see how if you do this thing and you can move from the major chord to the minor chord and everyone's like taking notes, like, and you can hear it on the piano and how it makes sense.
Yeah.
And for some people that just clicks instantly where they're like, oh, yes, I understand how the theoretical part of this or the math part of this or the music theory part of this now fits into the practical application of this. Mm-hmm. And for me, I'm like, wait, you move too fast. Hold on, wait. So you go to boom. Bum, bum, and like other people are just like, oh yes, it bum, bum, bum. Like it makes sense. And for me, it's like, it's just not something I fit into naturally at all.
Straight from the beating heart of LA, the San Gabriel Valley, today on the pod, we're joined by the brilliant assistant editor Staci Ponchus. From her early days as a PA on Waterworld to becoming a seasoned first assistant editor, Staci has lent her talents to an impressive range of films, including King Richard, Battle of the Sexes, and her most current project, Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. We dive into a longtime collaboration with Oscar-nominated editor Pamela Martin, her thoughtful approach to managing a cutting room, and how editing has even shaped her marriage, with previous Sips and Clips guest, Derek Drouin. Well, welcome to this episode of Sips and Clips. My name is Leanne McFalls.
My name is Michael Susterman.
Today we've got the wife of our previous guest.
And a brilliant assistant editor in her own right, Staci Ponchus.
Staci, how are you doing today?
Pretty good.
Thank you for being here.
I'm sorry we separated you from the dog. Mickey could have come in here, but I guess, Derek needs something.
Yes, we had Derek on our last episode, and his wonderful wife and assistant editor, as Michael said in her own right, is here today. So it's going to be a great, back-to-back. We heard Derek's side of things, and now we get to hear the wife's side of things, which, of course, is the correct side, right?
That's right.
Always. But we got to start with what we're sipping on today. We'll let Staci go first because she's the guest. What are you sipping on?
Oh,
what are you drinking?
What are you drinking?
My bottled water. Not a plastic bottle, but a refillable bottle.
That looks...
Hashtag save the environment.
Saving the environment. And it's very hot today. So everybody drink up. Michael, what do you got?
I already had coffee this morning, so I've raided Leanne's fridge for a Sprite Zero and a Gatorade Zero. So
always with the zero sugar.
I love diet soda. And also I have a race coming up. And so I'm in that mode where I'm like, I'm not allowing myself literally.
Oh yeah. You're doing
unhealthy.
the marathon, right?
No,
not a marathon.
No, just Beta Breakers. I did the half marathon a while.
Oh, okay.
Still training for the marathon, but I'm going to try to do that by the end of next year. But no, it's just Beta Breakers, which is just like, it's a race in San Francisco. It's like, I don't know if you know this race. It's like, it's great.
Across the Bay Bridge, right?
No, it's not across the Bay Bridge. But it goes past the gate. It goes past the bridges. It's literally Bay to the Breakers. So it starts on the east side of San Francisco, and then you run across the entire length of San Francisco to the Breakers, which is by the ocean.
Jeez.
It's a really old famous race. It used to be run completely naked. It was like this hippie thing where all these people would run completely naked in San Francisco. These days, it's much more family friendly, although quite a number of people still do run it naked.
Oh my God! Are you going to run it naked?
No, I'm dressed in a costume. It's a new tradition with me and my friend group. We did it last year, and so we're doing it again this year. But we all do a coordinated costume. So last year we were all bananas, and one of our friends was a monkey. And this year we are all Pokemon. So we've all had to come up with a different Pokemon that we're going to be and then dress up in running clothes for it.
What are you going to be?
I'm Turtwig, which is like a little tree turtle.
I know.
Okay.
I mean, I play Pokemon.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Great. Yeah, I'm Turtwig.
Remember, don't assume, Michael. Don't assume that people are...
I'll post
for that, but...
I'll post a photo on the Instagram of everybody in their costumes.
Oh, yeah. Let us know.
I think last year we ran it pretty hard. We went like we were like really into it, and we tried to run it as fast as we can. I think this year we're going to take it a little more lackadaisical. You still have to run
jog.
Yeah, you still have to run somewhat, or you.
How many miles?
It's not long. It's only 7 miles.
Oh, okay.
Not long.
It's a 12K. Like, whatever. It's easy. It's not that bad.
I was only like last year. I was trying to run and just build up stamina and whatever. And the farthest I could go was 2.5.
Yeah.
Before my body was like my lungs weren't even that bad, but I had like such shin splints. It was like the pain of running.
If you start seriously running, I feel like for most people, yes.
Yeah.
I feel like for most people, a lot of people's only experience in running is like they had to run the mile at high school or something like that. Like if you seriously take up running for even like a month, you'll be surprised how fast or how far you can go.
I got 2.5 over the course of like 4 months.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe not for you then. You would like Beta Breakers. Beta Breakers, it's not too hard. It's a fun race.
Well, let me say what I'm sipping on. So
Anyway, that side tangent about a race.
Yeah. My birthday was last week, and what my boyfriend knows that I love is food, free food. So he got me the Mexican Cokes, which are my favorite because obviously they're cane sugar and they're not high fructose corn syrup. So they are the best. And then because of the heat, I've got a nice Propel as well that also has 0 sugar. Keep me hydrated, keep those electrolytes running while I drink a can that has 39 grams of sugar in the soda.
But it's so good.
But it's so good.
So good. It's good sugar.
Oh my God. Good. Yeah, I'm like, you know what? It's cane sugar. Yeah. It's good for you. It's good sugar. It's not chemically made. It's natural.
It's natural.
Right? It's organic. Ooh,
that's what you could say.
Organic.
I'm drinking my Coca-Cola because it's organic. I think we should just jump into it.
Yeah, let's jump into it.
Thank you for coming on the show, Staci. We're super excited to have you. When we generally start this, we like to start with just talking to people about what was their like life journey towards editorial, like what was their basic path. So where are you from and how did you get into filmmaking? And then later, how did you get into editorial?
So I'm from Southern California, born and raised here. And
in LA?
Yeah, I was born in the San Fernando Valley, raised in the San Gabriel Valley. So Hacienda Heights. So yeah, from here, it's like half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, I guess, in traffic. So I grew up there. I was planning to be, when I was a kid, I also danced. So I did piano and I danced. So I really loved dance. When I was a kid, I was like sure that I would be some kind of a performing artist, like a dancer or a singer or an actress. But I gave that up somewhere along the way and became a psychology major at UCLA. So I was planning on, at that point, like I thought I would be a therapist. So I wasn't trying to get into the film industry.
Was it just not even on your mind at this point?
It was not on my mind at all. And then I had a friend who worked in editing and said, I think you would be a great assistant editor. And I was like, well, that's interesting. So I was interested. I love movies. And so I started doing an internship I started taking some film classes. Not that you need film classes to be an assistant editor.
At UCLA.
Yeah. So I started taking some classes. I got an internship in development at Tony Bill's company. And
this is all based off of the one conversation of someone being like, "Wow,
what
are you? Are you a sophomore? Are you a junior? How far are you into psychology at this point?"
Because I looked into like, what if I wanted to switch gears, and it was sort of too late. It was like,
okay.
It was going to be like an extra probably 2 years
of study
school. So that was part of the reason that I was veering away from psychology, is that I knew to have a career, I'd have to get a master's degree, and I was kind of ready to get out of school and start working. So I just learned a little bit, and then I didn't go into it right away. I had a different job as like an accounting clerk after college. But then this same friend was able to get me a job as a PA on Waterworld. Before that, I had done some work. Like my cousin made a film, and I helped her out a little bit.
This is all on film. This is pre-NLE still.
It's all. So Waterworld was cut on Lightworks. I learned on film. That's what I learned.
You learned on film in some trainee program or at UCLA?
No, I learned by like helping my cousin.
Oh, okay. Just on different things.
On the job.
Gotcha.
And I learned more on the job, yeah.
And how long were you an accounting clerk clerk? I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see. So if I graduated in 93 and then I started working in like a year.
Okay.
And I had worked for that company during college as like a...
But your goal was like, but I want to give this editorial thing a shot. I want to give this editing thing a shot. I want to like actually put my foot forward on this. So you're doing this as a job,
so
but you're
like
trying to do
getting
something
the experience
else.
doing, free kind of stuff.
Understood.
And then hoping that something would pan out.
So how did that end up being Waterworld? How did that come about?
Well, because the same friend said that she needed help, and
she was the assistant editor?
She was the LA assistant. So
okay.
There was a whole crew in Hawaii, and then there was...
I see.
She was working by herself in LA, and she needed help in LA. And so she's like, I think I can get you on, but you have to give your notice at your job, and it's not going to be a guarantee. It's going to be like probably, and then I would have already given my notice and given up my job.
Right.
So it was...
There's a bit of a leap of
scary.
faith for you to do there.
Yeah, and
this is the same friend that said that
hey, I think you should do this.
Yeah, so she was really just trying to like
was she selling
change
it
your
to
life.
you? Was she selling it to you as like a because we had another psychology major on the show.
Okay.
And one of the things she mentioned was that it was like there was almost this pitch that she was making to herself where it was basically like, well, psychology is the study of like human thought and human expression and stuff like that or whatever. So that maps on pretty well to editing, which is about trying to create that kind of like expression. Were you having those kinds of discussions, or were you just like, nah, this is a job I want to do? No,
I was just, probably a little bit of I was in my early 20s. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. So.
Sure.
But I do see that a lot of what I learned in school
was applicable to some way.
Right.
It definitely applies. But no, I just got really lucky, and her name's Audrey Evans, and she left editing, went into, she did, assistant, she cut some things. She left editing, became a personal trainer.
Oh, wow.
She did her 15 years, hit that milestone for the
pension?
Retirement. Yeah.
Wow,
and then became a personal trainer.
Wow.
But then she decided she wanted to come back to editing. So she's come back to help us on a couple movies I've been on, like several movies.
How cool.
She's come in as an extra pair of hands,
Oh, wow.
So she basically got me in. She eventually left, did something else. And then I kind of helped her come back. And now she's mostly retired.
So you're the PA on Waterworld. I feel like we could do an entire episode on that. For one, I feel like, it's always a fun thing to be like, well, what was your first like real movie that people get to talk about? Yeah. What a fun one to be able to pull out of your pocket and be like, oh, my first gig, Waterworld. Like that's a very like that's such a mecca of a movie that just like so many things have revolved around post Waterworld. What's the bullet point of what that experience was like?
Well, and I'll just say Derek teases me all the time about, he'll be like, if I'm interviewing for something, he's like, mention Waterworld. He's like, all you have to say is, just one word, Waterworld.
I kind of agree with him. I'm kind of with him. Yeah.
It was 30 years ago, so I don't think it really...
Yeah, but that would light up a crowd. That would light up a room. I did Waterworld.
Yeah. But no, I think it was kind of... when I look back, it's such a crazy experience to work. It was the biggest budget movie to date.
And yeah. Is it still, when adjusted for inflation, is it still the biggest budget?
I doubt it. But I don't know.
At the time it was.
At the time it was. And
were you the PA? So I know you said they shot in Hawaii, but you were a PA in LA.
But I eventually got bumped up to apprentice because I had done this other work and gotten the experience. So I was like, they kind of helped me figure out how to get in with the hours I had done or the days I had done.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too.
I eventually became the apprentice, but
okay.
But yeah, we were here alone at first, but then they all came back, and then it was a huge crew. We had, the sound crew was like 100 people, and they're on MAG, so this is like 100 people in a building, of
sound crew, just sound, 100 people. Oh my God,
it's crazy because I feel like. That's so, it's so wild because like I remember reading In the Blink of an Eye, the Walter Murch book, and he talks a lot about Apocalypse Now and how long it just took to do sound on that film and all the amount of people they had on sound. Yeah. And nowadays it's like your sound department is like 12 people. And it's like all done on Pro Tools and it's all done on Foley stages and it's all done like with sound libraries. But it's like, it's clear like pre-2000, the sound departments used to be massive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just for your knowledge, Waterworld, when adjusted for inflation, is now the 19th most expensive movie, which is crazy because all of the movies that are more expensive basically were all made like in the last 10 years. So it's like, for years, for a long time, it was Waterworld.
Yeah.
The only other film from the 90s on that list is Titanic. Everything else is basically late 2000s and then 2010s.
Yeah.
So.
I actually don't know too much about Waterworld.
You never seen Waterworld?
Never saw it, and I don't know the lore behind it, but I know that it's like one of those like classic cult classic type of movies. So
it's a great. It's you should watch it. You should go watch Waterworld.
And there's a misconception that it was a bomb, which it really wasn't.
No, it ended up like over the length of its time with like I think even DVD gross, right? It ended up being a profit.
Yeah, so people say, "Oh, it was the biggest bomb in history." No, it was the biggest budget in history up to that time.
Yeah.
And then I think it initially didn't do great at the box office, but over time it made money,
made all its money back. Yeah.
So you on Waterworld, you get bumped to a apprentice editor.
That's your entry into the union. I imagine.
So I got into the union in 95.
So you didn't have to go get your days. You didn't have to go work.
Well, that's the thing is that I had.
Oh, you had days?
Days that I did when I was helping my cousin on something.
Oh, that counted.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, fabulous. So you were able to just make that flip easy enough.
Yeah, so I had to just provide the
paperwork and all of that. Yeah. Cool.
And then you were just kind of off to the races from there. Next show, after the next show, after the next show, after the next show.
Yeah, I mean, I just was so lucky because I kind of got in with this group of people, and then that's how it is. It's like everything is just somebody from this takes you onto this, and then it all just worked out really.
It all just spiraled from there.
I mean, I just feel like, so when I look back at it, I'm like, I feel really lucky to just have started there. And then, but I mean, I was telling somebody the other day, because they're making Happy Gilmore 2 now.
Yeah.
This was probably, I'm thinking it was probably right after Waterworld. I interviewed for Happy Gilmore
1.
Mm-hmm. And as for an apprentice job.
Mm-hmm.
And the person who interviewed me decided that I wasn't qualified. I didn't have enough experience. So it's like, I don't know. It all just kind of worked out, but you think about like how it could always go.
If you had gone that, especially in the early on, if you had done that show, what your life would have been like now.
Well, it's like then you meet different people. Yeah. I think that's part of what I love about being freelance is that it's all like this mystery of life kind of unfolding. I have to assume like I'm going to end up in the right place at the right time when it comes to this stuff. And now, I met Derek at work, so I feel like, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get into the relationship part of our podcast.
Into it.
But
we'll get there.
Ultimately, it feels like that's how it all...
Everything like works out. Yeah.
You have such a breadth of a career. It's hard to...
Can't even like
nail you down to any one thing. Are there any notable shows? I mean, you've done shows that are small movies, you've done big movies, you've done large visual effects, small visual effects, and it doesn't seem like you've really constrained yourself to a genre or even a studio, anything like that. Is there, I don't know, any movie that stands out to you as like this is a notable point in my career? This is when I made a decision to do X, Y, and Z. Like what are the notable points for you?
So I've worked the last 13 years. I've mostly worked with the same editor, Pam Martin. So, we met 16 years ago, and there was a movie that I was on because I had been working with an editor who went back to New York, and the post supervisor asked me to stay on, and the editor gave me his blessing to stay on. And then they brought Pam on, and she agreed to keep me, even though she had a long time first that she worked with. She said I could stay because I already knew the movie. And
what was that first film that you guys worked on together?
And that was Youth in Revolt.
Youth in Revolt.
And so we worked together on that. And then she said, I have the first assistant, but, if we ever need extra help or if for some reason, because he was really working towards cutting. So she said, when he goes on to cut, I'll call you. And so then a few years later on Ruby Sparks, she called me because he was going on to cut something and he needed a replacement. So I came on and I worked with her. I love that movie too.
I should
have clocked that you and Pam worked together a bunch because I was like, well, this credit list, that totally makes sense now. It all locks in together. So, you're going on 16 years of that. Do you find that as like How is that like the first editor you were in like lockstep with?
Yeah.
Until that point, basically?
Yeah, because I think there are several others that I worked with more than once, but then once we started working together, it just kind of, you
guys really managed well together.
Yeah, we were, I think, we like working together, and we became friends in that time, probably even before I started working with her full time, we had become friends. So it's nice that we're
so
friends,
cool.
But then we have this great working relationship.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There's only one. She did one pilot, like start to finish without me, when I had taken a job because she thought she wasn't going to work for a little bit, but then she got something, and then there have been others that she's gone on as a second editor maybe, but as
if
far
she's
as
starting
like a feature,
film,
start to finish, I think I've done all of them with her for 13 years.
Wow.
That's so cool.
That is.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's been great. And I'm so grateful to her, because it's like, there have been a lot of ups and downs in that time.
Yeah.
And, and then I do. So if like, when you see, I definitely have credits where I'm not working with her, and that'll be during a period of time that she's waiting to find the right script, for her next job. And I can't maybe take as much time off. So I'll go do a VFX assistant job or a 3D assistant job. Usually something that I think I can get out of pretty easily, because I'll tell them like,
hey, I'm waiting.
Everybody sort of knows. And I feel like the only way they're going to call me is if it's a job that they are comfortable with me leaving, because I don't think I don't get that many calls for first assistant jobs because they're like, well, she's Pam's first.
Yeah. I was going to ask that if there was any jobs that you had to leave because Pam maybe got something, but it sounds like that you only take them if you know that you can leave, or that they're aware, like, oh yeah, she's Pam's first, so if we want her on, she's only probably going to stay on until Pam has something.
Right. There's usually a conversation up front, or sometimes she knows like, oh, I'm probably going to have something in the spring. So I can say to somebody, okay, I have a good, 6 months here where I can fill that time. But yeah, usually there's a conversation, like whoever it is will ask me what's happening there next,
Have there been any jobs, or have there been a lot of jobs that you ended up not getting because of that?
There have been jobs.
Or you're just so good that they're we need to get Staci on here.
There have been times that it's like, yeah, this is probably not a great idea. But usually I'll say that too, like,
because you also don't feel comfortable.
I don't want to, pull the rug out from a situation.
Of course.
And so I'm like, yeah, I can't feel good about doing this.
Taking this firsting job on a gig that I know that I may have to leave to go do this other thing.
Right. Yeah. So I haven't, but if there are times also she doesn't have any idea what's next. And
exactly,
those times, then I will consider, whatever
another show
happening. But yeah, with the VFX assistant stuff, it's usually pretty, it's always a hard conversation when you have to say to someone like, okay, it's happening now. The thing that we knew would probably happen is happening.
If you're on something and Pam doesn't know what she has, but then if she gets something, then you'll just kind of like leave or let them know. And you were saying that no one likes to leave.
I guess there's always the possibility that we could get out of sync, if she didn't know and then I did take a first job, then maybe it would be the kind of thing where I'm like, well, I've committed to this for 9 months. So if something comes up, would you be willing to wait? Would you be willing to like have somebody fill in for me, or do you want somebody
to take over
the whole thing?
So you just make it pretty clear when you're starting a show. You're like, listen, this person is my priority, and so I'm more than willing to help you out on your show. But if this other thing comes up, then I gotta go. And most people want you enough to understand that that's the risk that they run, or that's the deal that they have to make, basically.
Yeah, I think so. And I think with the VFX, it's like usually people who are friends. Yeah. They know, they're like, okay, what does Pam have going on? And would you want to come onto this?
No, it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
It's worked out okay.
You were saying you've worked with Pam for about 13 years. Mm-hmm. Before that, you were kind of jumping from different editors. Did you find any kind of like the pros and cons between working with one person for a long time and then jumping around with other editors? I think that, it is great if you can work with one person for a very long time. But in the situation that we were just talking about where, oh, now you got to jump out and you got to get out of sync. And, you think about, I got to make money. I got to make rent. And my editor that I like working with doesn't have anything.
Right.
Have you personally found any oh, it is nice to jump around with other people, or I do like to be with this one just kind of your experience with that and what that's like?
I mean, I've had fun. I feel like I've been lucky enough to work with a lot of nice people. And I'm always interested, too, to see how everybody else works, because you work with one person and you have your way of okay, we do everything like this. And whenever I go into a situation, whether I've done jobs where I've sort of taken over for a crew was leaving to go on to their next movie, and somebody's called me to say, can you come in and kind of do all the get us through the final mix and everything. And I always want to know how do they do everything, do it the way they do it, because I want to know everybody's way. Or when I've gone to work, I went to work for another editor on location for a period of time. And I think that was the time she got the pilot that we didn't know she was going to have. I just am okay, how do you like things? And you just learn, I'm never going to go in and say, well, I always do it this way for, So I kind of love seeing how everybody works differently. And it also helps to know what you're comfortable with. And I don't know, I guess I can sort of tell okay, this could click if I ever, if we did get out of sync and I needed to work with someone else, I know who I click with.
Who you gonna, yeah.
But also I have to say that I love the job of second assistant.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would gladly and also VFX assistant. So I would gladly take one of those jobs in between.
Where you're you don't have to run the ship. You get to just deal with stuff as they come and help out.
Sit back and relax for a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, those are such good jobs when somebody tells you what to do. And
I'm totally with you.
Just do it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
But I also, then when I'm doing those jobs, then I miss the job of being a first, because that's a whole other thing. But I'm
well, then you're if I was the first, I would have done this way differently. So
speaking of that, that's one of the things Leanne and I at least one of my favorite things to talk about on this show is we like to kind of interrogate firsts on their philosophy of that job. Only because I think the first really sets the tone for a cutting room. Even sometimes I think more than the editor. I think sometimes the editor and the director need to lock in on a movie, but the way everybody else has to interact with the film really goes through the first. And so I'm curious about what's your philosophy as a first. How do you manage a cutting room? How do you manage being a manager really while also balancing the needs of Pam or whatever editor you're working for? So, kind of writ large, big overview. How do you approach that job, and how does that differ from maybe your philosophy in being a second, right? How does your mindset change when you go into that first chair?
Yeah. It's a tough one because I feel like it's evolved too. I think by nature I'm a control freak, which I think you have to kind of be to be good at any of these support jobs in editing.
What do you mean by when you say control freak? Are you the type of person where you're I want to do those turnovers myself, or are you more I just want to know what everyone's doing?
How do you run the cutting room?
Well, and it changes. Yeah. That's the thing, is it changes, and it's really a lot of times it's based on the crew.
Oh, okay. So you're if Phil is really good at VFX, I want him getting rid of these blue screens. And if Sarah's really good at sound work, I want her doing reels. I want her doing sound passes. So is that kind of what you're referring to?
Yeah. And if I know, okay, I can 100% trust this person with this, like you're saying, then I can relax and I go okay, I can take care of something else. I can switch gears to more of a managerial thing. But I also have had plenty of situations where I feel I have to be super hands-on and I want to do everything myself, because I feel well, if I want to know it's done right, I have to do it myself, So it just
you're not shy from getting your hands into the Avid.
Right.
So you'll do EQ and sound stuff yourself if you feel you're the best person suited for the job on that team to do it, basically.
Yeah. Although I definitely, I like the big picture more, so I'm sometimes I even think maybe I've thought about going in the direction of post supervisor, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Because I love calendars and just kind of
tracking everything,
keeping all the balls in the air, like scheduling and
So so in your preferable first cutting room, you like to be delegating the technical Avid stuff to other people, and then you be managing your email inbox and managing the schedules and managing the screenings and all the stuff like that.
So yeah, in a way, but then there are things that I'm like,
are there things you like to do? Things that you just like to do and you want to do yourself?
I like doing this, and for whatever reason, like doing this myself helps me sleep at night.
Yeah, I get it.
Because I think that anybody else on the crew
What are those things?
Well, it's like, I don't know, sometimes it's like screening prep. That kind of thing.
Like QCing.
Like, well, not the QCing, but even just like the, mix downs and the building. It's weird because it's just little mental things.
No, I get it. But it's like points of contact for you to be like, I know what's going on because I'm doing these things. And it's like kind of where you're keeping a hold on stuff to do these other things.
Yeah. And where I just feel well, that's my thing.
Yeah, totally makes sense.
And this is that person's thing. But I don't know. I guess also the longer I'm around, and I've watched some other firsts who are very like just total team players, where it's like nobody's going home until we're all done with our work, even if it means that I'm going to be doing something that I would normally have an apprentice do. And so I've seen that in action, and I'm like, that's a really good vibe, That
was the next question I was going to ask to you, is about delegation. Kind of writ large. Being a first is really the first time in the assistant editing career where you have to manage other people, and you've got to manage other people's schedules, and you've got to manage what other people are doing in general. I'm curious about what and I think this most readily apparents itself when people have conflicts, when they need to go to weddings and funerals and things like that. I guess I'll start there. How do you manage just people's lives and schedules, and when that interferes with the film? Like how do you, balance all of those things? Or I guess like, what's your approach? Who are you sending home when it's late at night and, there's going to be overtime and your post supervisor says you can't all get OT? Like, who's going home? Like, stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. I think that also I try to like keep everybody's personal needs in mind. And I try to ask questions like, do you have something going on?
Can you stay late tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I guess and these are things that I think have changed over the years, because when I started, I was sort of told, like, there's nothing else that you should even mention. I mean, unless it's an emergency. Like, nobody needs to know that you had Easter plans. Like, if somebody wants you to, on Waterworld, I worked on Easter, and I was really excited about it because I'm like, they need me to work on a holiday, and like, that's more important than anything else. And then you grow up, and then things change, and you're like, well, maybe actually that's not the most important thing.
Yeah. I also think it's maybe not, I mean, even when I started, I only started in the business about 6 years ago. And even when I started, it was I kind of got the same thing. People told me that. They were like, oh, well, if your cousin's getting married, sorry, you got to work on the movie, that kind of thing. But I've also seen, I think especially since COVID, there's been a big shift in people trying to find a better work-life balance in general.
Right.
Leanne and I are both now firsting a little bit more and more and more. And so we've been thinking about this stuff a lot, of just how do we want to balance these stuff with the people, or even when we're seconds, like how do we approach our firsts and talk about this kind of stuff?
Well, and you have to take the lead, I think, from the editor too.
That's true.
Because I know that Pam is very like open to, I mean, she's always said to me, like, your life should come first, and you should, if you need something, you should tell me, like, I need this weekend off for this, or I need to leave early. I have a really hard time with that because I was trained in a certain way where I'm like, work comes first. So, and I'm maybe a little bit of a workaholic. So,
even I was trained like that way. I mean, it's not completely gone away. Yeah. It's still
ingrained. The
ingrained.
Editors back then,
yes.
And even though Pam's been an editor for a long time, but I think she has a different mindset. But like the editors I started out with, I feel like they also believed this philosophy.
Right,
like, this is number one, and we don't want to hear about any personal problems you have.
I'm inclined to think, though, you get a better editing room, like a more talented, a more robust, a more energetic cutting room, if people do feel like, especially in times when it's like dailies or editor's cut, when maybe things are a little more laid back, it's not as high pressure, that people are able to take that little bit of free time that they need here and there.
Yeah.
I'm similar of an opinion where it's like, if you're in previews really hard to go on vacation during previews, really hard to even go to weddings or dentist appointments on previews. Like it's just really difficult. But if people are super high strung the entire movie, then people don't feel as ready to tackle previews. If they feel a little bit more relaxed during dailies and director's cut and stuff like that, then they'll feel a little bit more at ease to those things, so that when they go into previews, they're like, I feel ready to go. I feel ready to buckle down for these next 3 months and get these previews over with, whatever it is. So
yeah. And I think just that the communication, and also making sure that, I feel like it does tend to be like everybody has their things that they're good at, and so they do more of it. So if the second assistant is doing all of the turnovers, then I sort of I'm going to feel like, oh, like he can't leave early if we have turnovers, because like I don't want to
screw over
jump
this.
in there and go like, oh God, I have to do. So, but what I would say is like, okay, I want to make sure I have a copy of all of the settings you're using for the turnovers. Let's have this all mapped out so that I know if I'm doing it, it's going to be exactly what you were doing. Yeah. And then it's fine, But I think it does get to that point that you're like, but that's you. You always do this thing, or I always do this thing. And or even where I'll say, no, I need to be the one to work late because I always do this one thing.
Right.
When really, couldn't I say, well, let me have somebody cover for me? But then I mentally feel like, no, I should be the one.
Doing this because I've been doing it this whole time.
So it sounds like that it just kind of depends on the cutting room, and you just adapt based on who else you're working with. And then however things might get set in the beginning just kind of ends up being like that for the rest of the show.
Yeah, but I do try to communicate. And also, what's really helped, and something I think we have to have on every movie, is the remote, having jump. Having that, I think, is so important, because I just last week, the second assistant had somebody coming to do a construction thing. And I said, well, look, you have your jump set up. Why don't you stay home and deal with that, but be available if something comes up?
Yeah. Right.
I do that on every movie I'm on now.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think how people did it prior, but it's like, if I'll come in and I'll have a cold, I'll be sick, and I'll be like, well, I still am good enough to work. I'm cognizant enough to work. But if I come into the office, I run at the real risk of my editor's older. I could get him sick, and that could be really bad for him. So it's like, well, why am I doing that? I've got a computer here. And my computer's set up on Jump, and then I can still work. I can still do my work, but I just don't have to come to the office and get everybody sick.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. That's great,
thing that changed that I think is really...
That's been a positive change.
Yeah, that's positive. And even though my brain still tells me, you have to be at work. I've gone to work. There was a whole thing where I was going to work sick for a long time, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I ended up in the hospital at the end of it, and... being in the hospital for 6 nights, and they finally figured out what was wrong. But that whole time, Pam was trying to say, you need to take care of yourself. Yeah.
You're like, you're never going to get me away from this desk.
I'm just no, we're almost done. We got to do this. Get us to the finish line, and then I'll take care of myself. And she's like, no, we can, somebody can take over for you. I'm like, no one's going to take my job away.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think most of us in this industry are a little crazy.
But you feel like you're integrating remote stuff more and more into your workflow.
I feel like I have to. If I don't know, it would be really hard to go back to that's not allowed at all, because I think it's really important.
I've been there's times where I'm exporting a long play of the film. It's going to take 2 hours, and then I got to run it through media encoder, and that's going to take another hour. And so I hit render, I get in my car, I go home, and then I do Jump to put in media encoder and Jump to upload it to Frame.io or Pix or wherever. But it's now saved me literally 3 hours to go to the gym and go grocery shopping or do whatever I needed to do laundry, while I have not lost the production one iota of time, because I'm still doing the thing that I was going to do anyway, but I'm just doing it remotely. Sometimes you need to be there. There are times where you just need to be at the cutting room. I bet it's we've done, we're doing a preview in Irvine or something, and they don't need me there, but they want me in the cutting room just in case anything happens. Hypothetically, I could be home for that. But I have often found that in an emergency situation like that, where somebody is calling me to do something, Jump is the last thing I want to be in the way of me dealing with those emergencies. Yeah. So there are handfuls of times where stuff could be remote, but I will choose to be in the office, just at least for the length of the preview.
Yeah. And I think for that too, I would probably, if the second asked me, well, is it okay if I'm available remotely for that, I'd be like, I would prefer that you're in the cutting room, at least until we've done
So if the internet goes out, there's no problem with you accessing Jump, or if you're connected.
Yeah,
sometimes
we
Jump
don't have to wait a half an hour.
Yeah, sometimes Jump's connection is shitty and terrible. And you're moving really slowly. So I would rather be there at the Avid. But if I can be home for something and it's not time sensitive, I'll do it.
I want to ask, do you ever sit in the cutting room with Pam and the director and take notes and all that? Or do you usually just try to be in your office and do your job?
I feel like when the director's in, she doesn't call me in as much. I mean, she will sometimes call me in, not to sit and take notes. I would love that. I mean, that's like, that would be amazing. In case you're listening. But no, I feel like during dailies, she calls me in a lot.
Right. But you're not like sitting in with the cutting sessions.
No.
Like doing,
No, I don't get to do that.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I guess it kind of depends on the workflow that the editor has with the director.
Yeah, I think it depends on the director too, and but I think mostly it depends.
Because like Hank is the same way with his directors. He doesn't like anybody sitting in there normally. He just wants to cut and just kind of be left alone to do stuff.
Yeah.
Asked to cut, he'll ask us to come in and look at cuts all the time and be like, hey, can you look at this cut? What do you think of this edit? Stuff like that. But being in there is always.
I feel like it's more common for editors to like to be alone with the director, but I think I hear about cutting rooms where, everybody's in on doing the notes and being in with the director. And
yeah.
Do you ever cut for Pam? You ever do like additional editing or anything like that to help out with a scene here and there, or
a little bit here and there?
I was going to ask if you wanted to be an editor, or if you're just happy with being a host and sticking with that.
I think what happened was that when I started as a film assistant, it was like at that time also it was a very I don't want to say respectable, like it's not respectable now, but it was like a very normal thing for somebody to say, like I want to be a first assistant. Like that's the job.
I feel like it still is that way. You don't think it's that way now?
Well, I guess what I kind of feel like now is that I wish that I had been a more confident and ambitious 25-year-old, and that I would have pursued it early, that I would have been like, this is what I want, and how do I learn what I need to learn to get to
be an editor?
To be an editor.
Okay, yeah.
But because I didn't for so long, I was like, I think especially, I loved conforming film. So being like on a bench conforming film was like, I still, if you gave me like an Avid change note and the film to conform, I'd be so happy. So I think I loved film so much that was very satisfying. And I never thought like, I'd be more satisfied doing the creative job here, But then the longer I work on a computer doing a it's a sometimes creative job, but more often than not, it's not creative. The older I get, I think I want to be more creative. I want to do more creative work. And I did cut a short film a couple years ago.
How was that?
It was fun. And it was like, it was one of those like cut it at home on my own kind of thing. And I think now I'm like, I wish I had pursued it sooner, because I feel like, people will say it's not too late. But also it's like, how do you go from, now I've had this great opportunity to work with Pam, and it's hard for me to see leaving that to go like work.
Strike on your own to be an
editor. And when you're starting out cutting, you're going to be working like alone at home.
Right.
Very little money. You know what I mean? And
tiny indie films.
I love the camaraderie. Like that's why I hated working from home during COVID, because I was home by myself. I love going to work and being with people. Yeah. So to me, it's like the best cutting rooms are the ones where everybody likes each other, laughs and has fun.
You look forward to having lunch with the crew.
Yeah. So I'm like, because I can't be an editor on a crew of 10 people, then I'm almost like, that's why I feel like it's too late. Because I really feel like I enjoy. So
I get it.
To go back to this tiny world run by myself doesn't sound like fun.
But it sounds like Pam gives you opportunities here and there to be involved in the creative still. So you're still getting to do it.
Yeah.
And is that why you also like doing visual effects assisting? Because you can also be a little bit more creative in that aspect as well.
Be on it. Well, no, because I'm not very good at like or anything. So I'm still trying to get Derek to teach me After Effects. But No, partly I like that because you get to be on, usually if there's the budget for a VFX assistant, it's going to be a big movie.
Yeah.
So it's a big crew.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
and I've worked, I mean,
So it sounds like you really gravitate, at least in editorial, towards the community aspect of things. That seems to be really where you shine.
For me, it's all about the people.
Yeah.
You know? And both times that I've done that job recently was with Marty.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so.
Marty's great. Yeah.
How interesting.
I do think more and more I'd like to do something creative, and I don't know how I could make it work, but I think about it a lot.
I want to move into talking about Derek. I want to talk about, because we had a little Staci segment on Derek's episodes. Now we get to have a little Derek segment.
And I said Derek. Yeah, now I can hear Staci's side, which we know is going to be the correct side, right?
Exactly.
But we were chatting all about I think one of the things, we are a inside baseball workflow podcast as much as we are a lifestyle editing podcast. And so I think we like to delve into people's lives outside of the cutting room and how they manage their life with this hectic career. So I'm curious, how you met Derek. He said, I'll spill a little bit the tea of his episode that he said you asked him out. So I'm curious about how that went down and how editing plays a role in your marriage and how decisions in your marriage are influenced by the career, and kind of vice versa. Just how does it fit in as a puzzle piece in your life?
Well, yeah, we met at work. And I don't think either one of us was looking at work to meet someone. It's not like you really go to work and you're looking around like, who am I going to date in this cutting room?
Normally, I love my coworkers. Normally, some of the last group of people I want to see even more than I already see them.
Right.
But what happened was, and I was a visual effects assistant in that situation. That was on Captain America that we met. And he came on as an additional assistant editor to help out. And then we were moving from to Lantana from Manhattan Beach. And they said, we're going to put one of the assistant editors in your room. Like, you're going to have to share a room. And I was like, I'm going to have to share. I was really not happy because I hadn't shared a room in years.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, we just don't have enough space in this. There's a bigger room. We're going to put him in there. So I was pretty annoyed, but then...
who is this asshole? It's going to come share my room.
Exactly. But I was like, okay, whatever. So, and then of course you're sharing a room. We got to know each other. And then I didn't know, I was single. I didn't know, he would talk about things he did on the weekends. Like, last weekend I went to the Huntington but I couldn't tell if he was doing these things with someone or just not mentioning.
He's not mentioning
or that, because sometimes you don't, if somebody says, what did you do? You say, I did such and such. You may not mention who you went with. So I thought, I just don't know. He's like seeing all these movies, going to museums. I don't know if he's going by himself. So one night we worked on a Saturday and we left, and I thought, I'm just going to text him and ask him if he wants to go see a movie, because I knew he would always see a movie on the weekend. So I texted him and he said yes. And then neither one of us knew if it was a date yet, because I didn't say, do you want to go on a date?
Right.
So anyway, then eventually we became,
what was the movie?
Thing. It was Bridesmaids. He picked it.
Oh my God.
So I said, you picked the movie. He picked Bridesmaids.
Wow.
And then it turns out his taste in movie. Yes, he did love that movie, but also he started taking me to all these really violent movies. Maybe a couple months in, he took me to see The Raid.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's when I was like, this is probably not going to work, because he loved it and I hated it. I was like, that was so assaultive. I don't know why I sat through that. And he was so disappointed that I hated it.
Do you guys argue about that stuff? You guys are very much let's not go see a movie together. You do your movie, I do mine. And do you guys talk about that? Or is it
sometimes he'll watch something. I'll say, do you think I'll like it? And then he's like, probably not. I should probably see it without you. And then he'll either say, you know what, I think you would have liked it, or no, I'm glad you didn't go because you would have hated it.
Yeah,
we have a lot of opposite tastes, not opposite, but we like different music, we like different movies.
Wow.
But then we find a common ground with all of it, so it works out.
So then to go into the question about how it kind of fits into both of your lives, because Derek was talking too about, you guys can be very busy. You guys can be very out of sync. So what is that like for you? And how do you try to keep the relationship alive, I guess.
I mean, I wish we would work together more. Because
he said he loved. He said, I asked how often you guys work together. He says you guys got to work together. Really, only one time. I think.
Well, one like whole movie. But
that's what he said.
Yeah.
Battle of the Sexes. You guys got to do the whole movie together.
Whole thing, yeah. Which and also I have to say that before we ever started dating, I was like, I thought this guy has like the best work ethic of anybody I've ever seen. Like he offered to help with something, and he was just kind of like so enthusiastic and like, oh, happy to help. And I was like, wow, who are you? So he's amazing. Like still, I say he's one of the best people we've ever had on the crew. Like,
wow.
So I think he's really the best. And I would say that, like, I felt that way before
that was your inroad of you being like, you're like, I'm attracted to him because he's a great worker.
Well, I
mean, that could do it sometimes. Yeah.
Part of it. But
it was the long hair that probably got.
Yeah.
Did he have the long hair still? Longish hair?
I mean, it's like, I guess.
Like the way it is now.
I gotta say that would totally be, that's so funny. Like that's a plus in relationship. Like he's caring, he's enthusiastic, and he never fucks up a turnover. That's He's nice to my mom.
Yeah.
He makes sure that there's real time code and long play time code. And that's so funny.
But with balancing it, it's been, I mean, I think it's hard because we can't really travel. Like it's hard to ever anticipate time off together because you're like, even when you think you might have it, then it falls through. One of us gets a job or something.
Would you guys ever choose like that vacation over a job? Or like, let's say that you know that, okay, we might have time in like next February to go on a vacation. Now, if you booked something, would you just cancel the vacation, or would you ever be like, hey, I could take it, but I do have this thing planned?
It's hard. I mean, one time we planned a trip to New Zealand, and I was working with Pam, and she said, it was like we were on a really low budget movie where it was just the two of us. We didn't have anybody else on the crew. Yeah. And she was like, I think, why don't you get somebody to fill in for you and just do your vacation? Because if Derek can do it at that time, I think you should just do it. Yeah. And I did. And that was kind of like, I can't imagine doing that on a bigger movie when there are a lot of people and a lot of moving parts. But this was like kind of, I think it was
because it was smaller. It was a little bit
movie, and I was like, okay. But no, I'm honestly like, I have to tell myself that I need to really think about retiring as early as possible so that then we only have one weird schedule to work around, because it's hard because both of us tend to put work as a really high priority. I don't know if these are going to be regrets, but it's been really hard. And I feel like we haven't done as much as we should do. And then once we got a dog too, then that's another
the dog
factor.
adds, Would you ever do a vacation by yourself?
Or
have you?
Yeah. Road trips. And then he did last year. He went by himself. So I feel like we've encouraged each other to do those things.
To be like, when you have the free time, take it.
Just go do it.
To rejuvenate, go do those things.
Yeah. And we might have that again soon. And I plan on doing something like I'll go on a long road trip or,
And Derek was saying you guys make time. It sounds like you're like, you try to make a very active effort to be like, we're spending time together this Saturday when we are free. Like we're not going off and doing things. Like we are making date nights. We are doing things that we need to do to spend time with each other.
I think we do make an effort, but we definitely have a lot of, our own separate interests and things we do apart. But I think we make it a point to say we can't just spend 60 hours a week at work and then spend all of our time on the weekends, like doing our own separate errands and whatever separate interests, we have to.
That makes sense.
But it keeps it exciting. And I figure there will be one day that one of us gets a great location job and the other one gets to go just hang out,
Yeah.
Gets to vibe out in wherever.
Yeah. But someday I picture spending
you just go with him
in New Zealand with him or something.
Yeah.
That sounds nice.
That does. Yeah. It sounds nice.
I'd like to do that. I want to do that too.
I mean, I would like to just go on location to New Zealand too. I would love to, even if it's not going to relax, I would love to just go on location.
Have you worked on location before?
I've not, no. I would love to. I would love to work on location for anybody out there who is listening.
One of the things I'm always curious about with people who have relationships in post-production. It's like, how do you guys like almost advise each other on stuff like that? Like there's a level of that that's different from like, if Leanne comes to me and is like, hey, I'm deciding between these two jobs. What do you think as my friend and my confidant who works in my same field, right? My reaction to that is going to be almost different than if my partner came to me and said something like that.
Yeah.
Do you find that it's helpful that you know so much about this stuff so that when Derek comes to you with stuff and then vice versa, do you find it helpful, or do you find it almost sometimes frustrating that they almost know too much? Right, where it's like, well, you almost know too much about
any competition, competitiveness.
Well, it's almost like it's like, if Derek is coming to you and saying, well, I'm looking at these two movies, and maybe you know the editors of those movies, right? That's different than me going and being, well, who's the better editor and who's going to get your career further? It's like, oh, well, Steve is a nice guy, and oh, well, Tiffany, she's great too, and so you have to almost like, you think it's almost a positive or a negative thing, almost something that you know more than the regular person?
I mean, I think it's both, because it's like there's the negative, which is we talk way too much about work. I'm sure
it's a lot of
and
shop talk.
You get into the weeds because there are things that, like, if I call one of my friends who is an interior designer and I try to give her the details of something that happened at work, I'm gonna lose her pretty quick.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to just give bullet points, but with him I can really give details, or he can do the same with me. So it does kind of bog things down where you're like, wow, we just spent an hour talking about like the minutia,
Yeah, it's my mom listens to this podcast, which is a blessing and a curse, because she understands way more about what I do now. But sometimes I'll describe something and I'll be like, I had to do this turnover. And she goes, oh, was it for sound, color, visual effects? And I'm like, it's weird that you know that. It's weird. It's weird that she's like, did you deliver an AAF or, did they give you an EDL? And I'm like, it's weird. It's weird that you know that. I have to be like, Yeah. So I imagine it's kind of similar a little bit.
Yeah, so there's that. But then there's the positive of like, we do know a lot of the same people. I feel like for me, the choices have been more straightforward because I've kind of been on this path. But for him, a lot of times there are different options and he's kind of like, I'm not sure, what should I do next? I try really hard to take my personal preferences out of it, because I might be thinking, oh, I know if you do this job, you're going to be working really long hours and I'm never going to see you and you're going to work weekends.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or if you do this job, I mean, there have been situations where he's been called about a location job and we've decided together, like, the timing is not good. And that's hard, but for the most part, I really try to be like, what would I say to him if it didn't impact me?
Yeah.
Like, what's best for him?
Does he ever then come, like, if he's hearing about a job and then that, it is going to be long hours. I have like worked with this person before. Like I know how they operate, kind of thing. Does he ever come to you to be like, why did you not tell me that this person was going to cause me so much headache? And you're like, I just wanted you to find out on your own. Like, has that ever happened, or it has not?
I don't think so. Because I wouldn't hold something back like that. But I think I would just say, look, I think what's best for you is this, even though I might not love the idea, but this will be good for you. But I still think, I tell people, especially people outside the industry who are like, oh, you must have worked for a lot of people who are nightmares, and I'm like, honestly, I feel like it's 9 out of 10 people that I've worked with in this industry are people I really like and that I've wanted to stay in touch with outside of work.
I guess I want to ask, just you've work with Pam so long, I know that, but is there any projects you're like you would love to work on? Is there anything you want to put out into the universe that you're like, I really want to work on a rom-com, or something that you haven't gotten to work on yet that you feel like is on your bucket list of assistant editing? Even if it's not career oriented, it's just fun, something personal that you're like.
I always wanted to do the Pacific Crest Trail, but I don't think.
Oh, like hike it?
Yeah.
Oh, you totally could.
But I don't think, I think that it's kind of was like a bucket list thing that I think is kind of off the list now. Because it's a huge undertaking. Yeah. And I think people do it.
Hey, if Reese Witherspoon can do it.
Exactly. And I'm sure she really did it, right?
I'm sure she really did do it.
So no, I don't know. I have so many things. But no, I don't know.
No movie
I
or
have
anything.
a good one. Unless there was a Neil Diamond biopic.
There you go. There you go.
Neil Diamond biopic.
All right, Neil Diamond biopic producers. There you go.
Yeah.
You heard it. All right, on to Splice and Spew.
Yeah.
Splice and Spew.
I can start.
Go ahead. We'll have Michael
I'm going to splice about Lost seasons 2 through 5. As you heard on the last episode, I spliced about Lost season 1. Great season of television. Now, I'm gonna lumping all of 2 through 5 because I could just do every season as a splice.
God.
I got 5 episodes of worth of splices.
Oh, jeez.
You know what, we're going to do that. Lost season 2. Let's talk about Lost season 2. Oh my God, we uncover the hatch, guys. It's the hatch. This was the biggest mystery of 2009 when this show came out. What's in the hatch? There's the hatch. It's devastating. It's daunting. Lost season 2 definitely loses a little bit of steam from Lost season 1. Lost season 1 is like tight. It's just mystery after mystery after mystery. Lost season 2, we're starting to uncover a little thing. Who are the others? Why are they here? And you're just getting a little bit of that draw. It's not as tight as season 1, but damn if they're not finding their steam. I'm also going to mention Lost season 2 is where Lost starts looking really good. Lost season 1, I don't know what cameras they were shooting on, but it's kind of like some type of, definitely they were lower budget on the camera. I think they're shooting on film stock. It's really hard to tell what they did, but Lost season 2 really amps the quality of the camera work. So just from a technical execution standpoint alone, it's amazing. Smoke Monster loses a little bit of that car crash noise that I've come to really love, but I just got to say, it's the hatch. We don't know what's in the hatch. And it is truly an invigorating feeling of being like, what's in the hatch? A hatch on the island? Anyway, go watch Lost season 1 and then watch Lost season 2.
Anyone who hasn't seen Lost is going to skip over all of Michael's Splice and Spews.
Lost. Michael Giacchino, once again, knocking it out of the park. A perfect music season. Michael Giacchino can do no wrong. J.J. Abrams serving up, banger after banger. Everyone is still hot, So why wouldn't you watch Lost?
All right, I've got one now. So the pool in the back of my apartment building. One of the reasons that I really wanted to live here in this apartment was because it had a pool. Because I am now a pool freak. But the way it is it's essentially kind of like a giant hot tub. But the heater for the hot tub portion doesn't quite work. It finally got fixed last year, quote unquote. But the other thing is that they don't turn it on except for Memorial Day to Labor Day. So the times when you really want to use it, which is like in the winter, quote unquote winter in LA, is like when the hot tub is not working. And then when the hot tub is working, if it's in the summer and it's not working, the water is like 50 degrees because where the pool is, it gets no sun. So it's basically like it'll be 100 degrees outside and I'll try and enjoy this pool and I'm just like cold. Like I'm trying to like go in very, very slowly and my feet are all numb and whatever. And then you just kind of have to sit in it and try and like get acclimated to it. But I have tried to contact and email everybody, like the HOA people in the apartment building about getting this fixed, and they would not get it fixed, and it was taking forever and ever. And they came last year and they got it fixed, but because it's gas, I think what keeps happening is that they light it up and then the gas goes out. And then I have to email them again and be like, hey, can you please fix this pool? Because I would really love to enjoy it. And one of the reasons that I wanted to live here was for this pool because I'm paying for it. So I might as well have a working pool.
I feel like as long as I've known you, the heater in that pool has been broken.
Yes.
I feel like as long as I've known you.
It was working for like a month maybe last year. And then it was like, oh, Labor Day. Now we got to turn it off. And I'm like, why are you turning it off I don't want it when it's 100 degrees outside. I want it when it's like 50. And then I want to enjoy it. And if they got more sun, then it would heat up, but it doesn't. You get like maybe an hour a day of where the sun is like directly above it because we have the apartment on one side and bushes on the other. Yeah, it's really, I try to really, you should see me. I try to really enjoy the pool, guys, but it's a little bit tough. It's a little bit tough. So that's my spew. All right, Staci, I'm going to give it to you.
Well, I have to say I love that the positive is called a splice.
Yeah,
because,
it's an edit.
And to me, when I think of a splice, I think of splicing tape. And
it
just brings back all those good memories.
Of course.
But I would say I love that I had like the perfect chunk of time off last year, which coincided with the baseball playoff season.
Ooh.
And so I was able to go to every Dodger home game through the playoffs.
Wow.
And that was like one of the highlights of my life, I think, is I've never had season tickets because it just seems like that would be ridiculous with our jobs. But because I had that chunk of time off, I just was like, I didn't plan on going to every one, but then it kind of just kept going. Like I was like, well, I'm going to go to this one. Now I'm going to go to this one. And I ended up going to all of them. And that was kind of an amazing, experience.
Have you always been a Dodgers fan then? Because you grew up here, right?
I grew up here, but I didn't grow up watching baseball because I watched football and basketball with my dad growing up. But I kind of got into the Dodgers a little bit later, like in my, I don't know, probably.
So our splice is Dodgers winning the World Series.
Well, yeah, I'm getting to go to all those games.
That's great.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
There you go.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Sips and Clips. You keep on sipping and we'll keep on clipping. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Sips and Clips is a podcast produced by Leanne McFalls and Michael Schusterman. Graphic by Max Schulman. Sound mixing by Cassidy Legan. Sound editing by Zach Griffin. Follow us on Instagram at Sips and Clips Pod. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.